Hey guys, it's me again. Today I'm going to show you how to properly cycle your suspension. Now, the reasons why you cycle your suspension is maybe you've added a new component to your suspension system. Like, let's just say you buy a lift kit, right? It's completely bolt-on. It says recommended tire size. Let's just go with, as an example, we'll go with a rough country 2.5-inch budget boost. I believe the max tire size for that is 285 70R17. It's about a 33-inch tall tire. Now, on a JK, you can add bigger tires to it. It's just you need to do some things in order for it to clear those tires. Like myself, I had a 08 JK with a 2.5-inch budget boost from Rough Country, and I added 37s. The recommended tire size is a 33, equivalent to a 33. Can you do it? Yes, but I had to properly cycle my suspension. Now, it is not hard, okay, to do it. It takes some time, but I'll tell you what, it is really worth it. It can save you from, several things like blowing out your shocks because you don't have enough bump stop. Your bump stop perches don't touch before the shock is fully compressed. Your shock can bottom out. It can actually rip the shock mount from the axle tube, or even from the frame or unibody, whatever. Or sometimes the tub can rub on the tire. Like on mine, before I cycled the rear of mine, the pinch seam on my JK on the tub, right here in the front, was actually digging into the tire. It made a humongous gash, but I mean, it was only on the knobbies, but still. You see these people who are running around with, like a 3-inch lift kit and 35s or 37s, but the kit recommended for you, max tire size to be something smaller than what's recommended, and you see them flex up on something, on a rock, RTI ramp, and they're like, yeah, it's cool, my fenders are my bump stop. And that's fine, but what happens when you want to turn the wheel? What happens when you're flexed like that and you have to keep going forward? Is there anything on the fender that can slice your tire? And that's going slow. What if you were to hit a whoop, or you're either on the sand dunes, or even somewhere where there's a little ditch, and all of a sudden the front end, it's not articulating, it's actually fully compressing up and down. It can do some damage to the tire. And I can tell you from experience that my front, before I learned how to cycle my suspension with a 2.5-inch budget boost, I went fast over a little bump, over a little mound, and the Jeep came back down and it broke my the mount for the airbox. It was just pushed in. So there's a couple ways that we're going to cycle the suspension today. One of them is full droop and full compression. That means your axle, here's the Jeep, you're going to take that whole axle and push it all the way up, and then all the way, and fully extend it all the way down. All right. Now the second one is when you're flexing, articulating. It's a different flex because the axle isn't just dropping all the way straight down and coming right back up. It's actually tilting. All right. Just think about your axle as a pendulum. It's swinging. So just hold a string, and you're literally it's going in an arc. Okay, so it's way different from your tires doing this up and down to your tires when you're articulating on the RTI ramp or off-road. Your tires are actually doing this. Okay, so there's a couple other different things that you gotta look out for. Like, does your sidewall of your tire on the inside, does it touch your tub? Does it come in contact with your sway bar links? So all of this is just stuff that to think about. It's like I said, it's really not that hard, but it'll save you in the long run. And like I said, this isn't, you don't have to do it for everybody, but you know, for those that added that extra suspension component that modify that existing lift kit with its recommended specs, like if it's a 3-inch lift kit and the manufacturer said add 3 inches of bump stop and you are clear and hot to run 35s, and then they did the work for you. But like my Jeep, or like this Jeep, okay, so this Jeep has a 4-inch zone off-road kit, zone off-road lift kit. So about, I don't know, a while ago we added Off-Road Evolution Rockstar skids. They are, they actually lift the shock mounting position up about 2.5 inches. So, and it says on the instructions, make sure that you cycle your suspension. And I actually already did it for this one, and I'll go through it again real quick. So I did it already, and we found out a couple of things, like this kit came with rear brake line drop down brackets. They're little, just a little metal piece. It brings your freaking your brake line down just a little bit, and it also came with fixed rear sway bar links. They were longer than stock, but they're fixed. All right. So when I cycled the suspension, the sway bar links were too short. So on full droop, the limiting factor of, you know, getting some more down travel were those sway bar links. Sway bar links and the sway bar itself were just like, it was holding the axle up. So as soon as I unbolted the sway bar links, there was actually more droop with the shock connected. So you gotta address that. But so like I said, things to the reasons why you should cycle your suspension are, you know, you added that extra suspension component, or you're running other than what the manufacturer recommended for your lift kit, or you know, maybe your shocks were blown. Maybe you blew out your shocks and you were like, hey, I'm just going to go with a longer shock, and you know, just to get that more droop, to get that more flex. So you might want to, you know, do some cycle your suspension. So today we're going to do the rear. All right. Now the front is very similar. There's just, you got a couple different things, like, you know, all the steering linkage, and that's pretty much it. And the front wheels obviously can turn, so we got to address that. And I'll show you guys that in a different video, but doing the rear, you guys will be able to get the gist of it. Okay, and obviously, if you're going off-road, you know, and you know the Jeep's flexing and articulating, it's fine. But right now we're going to be doing, it's just, you know, letting it droop like that free weight. There's no weight of the Jeep on the axle today, so it won't, you know, be forcing those bushings to actually, you know, have some flex. All right, so well, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to do it. All right, so first thing we're going to do is what we want to do is lift the Jeep as high as you can. So the way I do it is I grab the jack, I put it in the pumpkin, and I jack it up as far as I can. Now for today, the reason why I can't go any higher is because it's coming in contact with the garage door opener. So this is as far as I can go. It's fine. I'll get the job done. All right. So as soon as you go as far high as you can go, you put your jack stands and you put them on the frame. All right. What we're gonna do is try to put them as close to the rear lower control arm bracket or mounting positions, and you know, extend the jack stands as far up as you can. All right. Just gonna lower it down. All right, guys. So right now, the axle, the Jeep is on the jack stands, and the whole weight of just the rear axle is on the floor jack. Okay. Now remember how I said it already has the Off-Road Evolution Evo, the Rockstar skids. Okay. So right from the get-go, what you can see is these brake lines. Watch these brake lines and the angle of the actual sway bar. All right. So we'll go a little lower, really slow. See how the brake line is strained out already? Now I'm gonna go further down in a second, but after I unbolted the brake line from the frame. Okay, see, this is the brake line drop down bracket. All right, guys. So right now, what I've done so far is I loosened up I took the bolt out of the brake line bracket so it can droop freely some more. All right. I saw that the rear sway bar link was straining out, so I think it's short. I already know, I already cycled the suspension, but this one's too short, so I unbolted. Now the next step is you're going to disconnect your shock bolts. You only have to unbolt one side for this. And the easiest for a JK is just loosen up the bottom ones. I believe it's an 18 socket and a box end wrench, right? So what we're trying to accomplish right now for this next step is remove the rear coils. Now the reason why we remove them is because we want to see what we need to add in order for us to observe how much bump stop we need, or to see what clearance issues we're having. We have to remove the coils in order for the axle to go ahead and fully compress up. All right, like I said, we're gonna be working with the axle without any weight of the Jeep on it. All right, so obviously I can't jack up the axle, push it up with the coils in it. Okay, so remove the lower shock bolts, remove the coils, and then we'll show you the next step. I'm gonna give you a quick rundown of what we've done so far. All right, we've loosened up the track bar bolt at the frame and at the axle. Not taking it off, just let it spin freely. Remove one end of the sway bar link, top or bottom. Obviously, you have to do to the other side. We've unbolted the brake line from the frame, so you can let it droop down some more. Okay. We have removed the lower shock bolt from the axle, so we can actually let it droop down some more past the shock. So now next, all we have to do is lower the axle just a little bit more, enough for us to take these coils out. Now see how there's tension, but not much. So it won't take much for you to remove the rear coil. I'll show you guys how. All you gotta do is take it down really slow. All right. Now there's other things. Let me talk to you guys real quick about other things that you should look out for. All right. Axle breather tube. All right. This is connected to the top right here, but you can disconnect it and it'll be fine. All right. And I'll get the camera right now, and I'll show you guys one more thing that actually that you need to do to let the axle drop down some more for a JK. All right. So bring it down. There you go. You hear the close on seat. This one's unseated, so you can just take it out. Put them back later. All right. So there you have it. We removed the coils. All right. So now the axle is just freely. It's just sitting on the floor jack. All right. Now let me show you guys. Now. For a JK, for all you JK guys, all right, you want the axle to drop down some more. What you have to do is these brake line cables, okay, they used to be connected up here. All you have to do is either unbolt them from the frame, or what I do is I just bend those little hangers and let the brake line cable sit, and there's no rubbing or anything, so you'll be fine. Okay, so this is for the locker here. And all you got to do is unbolt it from here, from the diff cover. And then there's other little tabs up there that you could undo to, let it droop down some more. But right now, there's no restrictions. Like I could let the axle drop a lot more and we'll be fine. Alright guys, so coils are out. Alright, so at this point I connected, I'm ready to cycle my suspension. I'm about to cycle it going up. So what you want to do is reconnect everything that you can. The lower shock bolts, connect those back on there. The sway bar lengths, go ahead and connect that back on there. The brake line, I'm just going to leave it loose because I already know what restriction we have right here, what problem I need to address. So what I did here, and I'm going to show you guys how I do it, because this is the kind of gear, the equipment that most of us have. Obviously, if you have a hydraulic lift, the equipment that you use is going to be a lot different. But for me in my garage, this is the equipment that I have, and hopefully it's very similar to what many of you guys have. So all right, so I want to push the axle up as far up as I can. So I use right now the axle sitting on jack stands just to hold it up, because my floor jack doesn't go as far up as I want it to go. So I just use this log right here, this stump, to help me push it up as far as I can. So now what we see here is the track bar bracket is coming in contact with the bump stop. Okay, all I'm going to do here to fix this issue is, I unbolted it already because I knew it was going to be a problem, is move the bump stop further forward, all right, to let it go. Keep going, and then we'll see what our next restriction is. But this is what you're going to be looking for. Now, when I cycle the suspension, I remove this little foam here, all right. I remove it because there's this foam here. It compresses, all right. So even if you're flexing really slow and this side's that's stuffed, it could actually compress. So what I like doing, just my rule of thumb, is take it off, and then this bump stop little cup here will come in contact with your bump stop, just like that. All right, so then you can see, hey, I do need to add some more bump stop, or I can actually take away some more. All right. All right, guys, I unbolted this sway bar link to show you guys. It was just in the way. But okay, so remember how I said I removed the little cushion from the bump stop, so you can let the bump stop hit the bump stop. Now that's fully compressed, right? So this is the tire's fully stuffed on one side, if you were like on the RTI ramp, or this is how it would look if you were like hitting those sand dunes and like just the axle's just smashing up and down. No actual like articulation. It's just up and down travel your whole axle. This is how it would look. Now what you're looking here for is for your shock. Okay. Now, all right, here we go. Now your shock, now what we look here for is that shock rod. All right, see how there's a little lip over here, but it goes up some more, like 1/4 of an inch. So I have a little over 1/4 of an inch of that rod showing, which is fine. It's not fully compressed. Okay, so if the axle was to smash into the Jeep or come up as fast as it can, it's going to impact the bump stop, right? The bump stop before the shock bottoms out. All right. I remember me telling you about ripping the shock mounts off. Obviously, these are the Off-Road Evolution ones. They're really sturdy, but some of them, like if you look at TJs or XJs, they're like have little welds onto the axle tube or a little bracket, and it's just a really weak point.